Also to Moscow. Ukraine is strong. It has many friends. Its friends stand with them. Thank you.
John Rustem, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the second successful meeting chaired by us both, John. Thank you for the very good and friendly cooperation. Together with the other supporters of Ukraine, we set a lot of things in motion today. Germany and UK invite all partners to join forces to further develop UDCG. We are convinced that we can double our effort and deliver more effectively against the Ukraine demand signals. Therefore, we will work on proposals focusing especially on collaborative projects. This will allow us to jointly manage projects that would be too big for us individually. These proposals will also foster cooperation between Ukraine industry and the industries of partner nations. We also have to better integrate the different support formats, UDCG and SATU and capability coalitions. Our teams will meet next week, starting with this work, as I said, next week. Rustem, you have shown that you are capable of defending yourselves, and you are doing it prudently and effectively. You have become leaders in the area of drone development. You are successfully countering the majority of Russia's massive drone strikes. And just last weekend, you proved that you can use drones to neutralize weapons that might be directed against you. Congratulations to that really impressive operation. Last week in Berlin, we agreed, Rustem, that Germany will provide funding for long-range weapons that will be manufactured in Ukraine. With this, we are implementing the goal we have set ourselves, namely to strengthen your capabilities, both military and industrial. Produced by your defense industry, these systems will quickly be in the hands of your armed forces. In the case of the long-range weapons I just mentioned, even before the end of the year. Moreover, we will enhance the options available for repairing systems in Ukraine. And we will strengthen your air defense by delivering additional weapon systems and ammunition. With our immediate action on air defense initiative, we are once again approaching the other supporting nations. We want to raise money for additional air defense systems and their urgently needed ammunition. Last year, we were able to come up with roughly 1 billion euros this way. Under the title Enduring Action on Air Defense, this is to become a permanent instrument now. We were also able to find additional countries which will support the build-up of capabilities in electromagnetic warfare. Belgium, Estonia, Italy, Sweden, and Turkey. And this includes capabilities for ensuring friendly communication, reconnaissance and jamming of hostile communication, counter-drone measures. Rustem, this goes out to you in particular. Ukraine can count on all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, today we held the 28th Ukrainian Defense Contact Group meeting. UDCG remains the most important platform for coordinating our international military aid to Ukraine. Our meeting sends an important message to the free world supports Ukraine in its fight for a just and lasting peace. Today's meeting of UDCG marked a new stage in our joint efforts. We always discuss and was today also approached by some of our closest partners who are providing billions in military aid to Ukraine and who are building joint ventures with us and buying from Ukraine industry for Ukraine needs. Our partners came to me and asked if Ukrainian companies could build factories for producing their cutting-edge products in their countries. Ukraine's military needs are the most important factor for us. I always stress this in our conversations with partners, and our partners said that they are willing to fully pay for all the production from these factories, and that our partners will even appropriate more funding for this. We agreed that products produced under Ukrainian license abroad will go to Ukraine so long as the war lasts. We're looking forward to considering all proposals from the interested partner states. We didn't have the name confirmed yet, but we call it for now Rammstein Investment to Industries Initiative, which is a strategic shift. Under this initiative, Ukrainian companies could invest in our UDCG partner countries, and companies from UDCG countries can build their mega factories in Ukraine. We'll build drones, missiles, ammunition, and other weapons together. Ukrainian drones have changed the battlefield, and now they will change how Rammstein countries prepare for future threats. The Rammstein Investment for Industries is a major step forward in building a stronger defense of freedom. We hope that the Rammstein Industries Investment to Industries initiative will be supported through the SAFE program. This is a program from EU that will provide up to 150 billion euros for weapons production. Our partners are ready to move ahead. This is a win-win for everyone. Ukrainian companies can invest in Europe, and European companies or Euro-Atlantic companies can build their factories in Ukraine. Ukrainian companies, of course, will gain access to financing, advanced technologies, and new production sites, and strategic partnerships with leading global players. Our allies will have the opportunity to build their industrial strengths, but with all weapons supplied to Ukraine. Together, we are not only defending freedom, we are shaping the future of Rammstein defense. I'm grateful to all the countries who have recently announced new military aid packages to support our fight for freedom and peace. I'm grateful to my very good friend, Secretary Healy, and Minister Pistorius for organizing this Rammstein meeting. Peace in Ukraine must be just, lasting, and protected by international unity. Together, we are working to achieve this through the Rammstein Investment to Industries initiative and other ways. Thank you, our partners, for stepping up your support. Our unity brings a just peace closer. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary of State Healy, Minister Pistorius, Minister Umerov. We'll now take questions. The first question is to Roxolana Lisovska from the Ukrainian Public Broadcaster.
Thank you. My question for both of us and Secretary Healy and Minister Pistorius. So on May 10, the leaders of the coalition of willing agreed the framework of sanctions against Russia in case if Russia slows down the peace talks. So in the past few weeks, Russia hasn't shown any really interest in negotiations. Should we expect those sanctions to be applied? And if yes, when? And also, I have to ask, were Britain and Germany aware of Operation Spider's Web, and how can you assess it?
Well, to begin with the second question, there is no answer as far as Germany is concerned. I really admired what they were doing over there, but it's not my role to give a comment on that. So I'm sorry for that. The first question, we were talking about that issue several times, and I think it is a matter just of a couple of days whether there will be another stronger sanctions or not. This is not up to me. It's a decision of the entire government in Germany. But of course, we are in close contact with the European Union and with our partners and with UK to discuss it. But I don't have, at least not for the moment, a concrete answer for you. I'm sorry for that too.
So hats off to Ukraine for Spider's Web. It reminds us that Ukraine can inflict deep damage on the Russian military. It reminds us that Ukraine is very much in this fight and determined to prevail. And we, as the nations standing with Ukraine, are determined to support in whatever ways that we can. And on the coalition of the willing and the announcement of sanctions, it's quite clear that this war must end in the end at the negotiating table and not on the battlefield. It's why President Trump's ceasefire initiative is so important. Putin has talked about peace, but shown he's unwilling to negotiate. And so more pressure must be brought on Moscow to come to the negotiating table, to negotiate seriously, because Ukraine has demonstrated it stands willing for peace. US is trying to lead those negotiations, and we as nations supporting Ukraine will do everything we can to help that process.
The second question is for Johnny Beale at the BBC.
Thank you very much. I know Pete Hegseth did not turn up for this meeting, but he is expected to arrive tonight. We are told by his ambassador to NATO that he will come with a very clear-cut message, and that is that, in his words, every ally must commit to investing at least 5% of GDP on defence and security, starting now. I'd like to ask Secretary Healy, I mean, you haven't even been able to give a clear-cut commitment on 3%, so are you worried you're going to disappoint your US allies on this? If I could ask Minister Pistorius, when will Germany commit to 5%, and by when? What sort of timetable are you looking at, if you even can meet that? Mr. Umerov, if I could ask you, sir, I think we've been told that Ukraine will be represented at the NATO summit in The Hague later this month. Can you tell us whether President Zelensky will be attending? We're not clear on that. Thank you.
So summit discussions are for the summit, but those summit discussions will not just be about funding profiles, they will be about the crucial capabilities that each one of the 32 nations will contribute in the years ahead to strengthening NATO's collective deterrence and its collective defence. It is a matter not just of how much nations spend, but how they spend it. And in the UK, we've recently released our Strategic Defence Review that sets out a 10-year vision for how we'll transform Britain's forces, reinforce our NATO-first contribution to this alliance, and we recognise the urgency. We're a government that's increased funding for defence by £5 billion this year, made the plans to increase to 2.5%, a level that the UK has not spent for 15 years, and we'll do that in 2 years' time. We will do that by switching money directly from overseas development aid. It's a tough decision to do. And as the Prime Minister said, we're committed to spending what we need to deliver that strategic defence review.
But the 5% does matter to the Americans. Can you make it? I mean, do you think you're worried you'll disappoint them?
No, we will enter the discussions at the summit. The commitments that we make are valued as capabilities to this coalition. The NATO and NATO allies, including the US, value what the UK brings to NATO. We're the only nation with a nuclear deterrent that commits it in full to the NATO alliance, to all of our allies. Yesterday, I confirmed that we will double the amount of investment in this Parliament on drone and autonomy technology that will transform our forces, making our commitment to NATO stronger. And I also announced that yesterday we put £1 billion into our laser weapons, Dragonfire. Within 2 years, we'll have that in operation on our destroyers, and then the following year we'll put it in the hands of our army, reinforcing the British armed forces, but making an even bigger contribution to NATO. It's important to measure the nation's contributions to NATO in what we provide as well as what we pay.
In the first place, I would like to highlight that there is nobody who really postulates 5% by anybody from now on, because this is really unrealistic. What we are talking about is to increase the percentage in the years to come. This is possible and certainly needed. We will, as John highlighted too, we will discuss that topic on the summit. And it's not about disappointing anybody. It's about negotiating about what is necessary and about what is possible. This is a negotiation between grown-up people and responsibilities in the nations. And what I rather prefer to discuss about is we need and we must achieve the NATO requirements, the NATO capability requirements, and the national ones. This is our task, which has to be fulfilled up to 32 or 33, the latest, whatever. And that costs a ton of money. let it be 2.5 or 3% or 3.5. But there's one challenge with it which nobody really discusses about. It's not only, as I mentioned earlier, it's not only about the percentage and the money and in euros or dollars or whatever. It is about how much money is really be able to be spent actually at the end of the year if industry is not able to deliver what we ordered. So if I had 3% of the German GDP, which would be 125 billion euros a year, and I can't spend it till the end of the year and have to give back 20 or 30 or whatever billion euros to the finance minister, this guy would be happy, but I wouldn't have spent and I wouldn't have achieved 2% or 3% or whatever. So we have to find a realistic compromise between what is necessary and what is possible really to spend, and we need new instruments for doing that and to enhance the possibilities of our industry in Europe and beyond to produce more than they used to do before. This is a challenge, so it's not only about percentage, but I know I'm not naive. We will discuss about 3.5 or 1.5%, whatever, but what we need is to remain realistic.
If we are invited, we will definitely consider it. We shall be invited. You know that Ukraine sometimes not invited. So this is the biggest challenge to us.
You can't say who's coming.
If, as I said, we will be invited, I'm not aware of this actually discussion because not my pot of coffee, but we definitely always consider.
Thank you. The next question is for Sabina Siebold, Reuters.
Umеров, another question on the summit. We've been hearing rumors there might be a NATO-Ukraine Council at ministerial level, which would affect you. So can you tell us whether there's a NATO-Ukraine Council planned either at defense ministerial level or at foreign ministerial level? And another question to Minister Pistorius. Sorry, again on the timetable for the 5%. Your Lithuanian counterpart today demanded that the target date should set by 2030, the latest, not 2032, but 2030. Would that be something that Germany would be ready to consider and to meet a target by then? Thank you.
Well, I would rather prefer not to give an assessment to public statements of my very valued colleague from Lithuania, because this is not about Lithuania or any other state in the Baltics or on the eastern flank. I know the special effectiveness of what is going on in the world, but still, whether we will achieve 3.5% plus X in the year 2030 or 2032 is not really the most relevant question, to be honest.
NATO-Ukrainian Council hopefully will be made tomorrow on a ministerial level, and I'm planning to attend it. Thank you.
And the NATO summit?
NATO summit, I cannot comment.
Thank you. The next question is for Kat Neelan of The Observer.
Thank you. Defence Secretary, the Strategic Defence Review talks a lot about cyber threats, and you talked about how many the UK has seen. Do you think that we're now at the point where we need greater clarity over whether that type of threat should warrant an Article 5 response? And to the other two ministers, when the Strategic Defence Review was published, there was an expectation that there would be some time for it to be digested in capitals around Europe. Have you had a chance to look at it, and what is your view of that?
So you're right that the UK, and it will be the same for Boris in Germany, has been subject to an increasing level of cyber attacks. We in the defence field have been the subject of 90,000, at least 90,000 attacks in the last year, directed at defence across the board, all of which can be linked in some way to states. So there's a level of aggression which is rising. There's a level of threat which is increasing, not just to defence but to the way of life, because it has civilian impacts as well. And that's why we are, as part of the Strategic Defence Review, investing more into our cyber defences. We'll set up by the end of this year a new cyber and electromagnetic command, and that will pull together both our defensive and our offensive cyber operations.
I have to confess I didn't read it yet completely, because it's more than, I think, 5 pages. But I read kind of a summary, and I asked my experts in my ministry to give me a bigger overview of what is really written in it. Unfortunately, I don't really know why, but I didn't have the time for it for the moment, but I'm very curious to read it.
It's a great product. Actually, thankful to Secretary Healy for sharing, and I started reading it. It takes a lot of time to come to UDCG meetings, so it's a good way to read. I didn't finish it yet, but it's a great product, and thank you for sharing.
I think your journeys are longer than ours to get here.
Definitely.
But the answer to your question about Article 5, I think you'll find that NATO has already recognised that cyber and hybrid attacks could form the basis of an Article 5 appeal.
But they haven't specified how or where that threshold might be crossed.
No, but your question was whether it is conceivable that a level and severity of cyber-related attacks could form the basis for an Article 5 appeal, and I think you'll find that NATO has already confirmed that could be the case.
Thank you. The next question is for Stefan Israel from Table.
Yes, Stefan Israel for Table Media. So to come back on the absence of the US defense minister, I mean, what does this say looking at the support of the United States for Ukraine, for its defense capabilities for the future, looking at the summit also? And then a second question for Minister Pistorius. Can you confirm there were reports that Russia destroyed IRIS-T system, I think, recently these days?
I can't confirm it, at least not at the moment.
Oh, look, the American challenge to the European nations is clear. It was there in the first UDCG that the UK convened and I chaired, and that is that it rightly is looking to European nations, and we are leading in Germany and the UK together through the UDCG to step up and do more in our leadership of the support of Ukraine. We have, we are, and we will.
And the final question is for Ukraine from Dmytro Shursko.
National News Agency of Ukraine, thank you for the floor. To State Secretary Gili and to Minister Pistorius, if I may. Tomorrow, you will, among the other defense ministers, discuss the new ambitious defense spending. So what is your perception of the idea to channel at least some part of these new defense spending to be approved in GAG to the fixed assistance to Ukraine, to make that assistance more predictable? And for Minister Umеров, if I may. We know from the media report that China sharply reduced the export of components of FPV drones, not only to Ukraine, but also to European partners, so that to reduce the production of these kind of equipment. Had the front line felt that kind of development? And is it possible to fill the gap using the Ukrainian industries and maybe potential and capacity of the European industries also as well? Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's my fault, but I didn't understand properly your first question.
My first question was that do you accept the idea that the certain part of the new defense spending in each and every country could be channeled to the assisting Ukraine? For instance, 0.25, 0.1, and so on percentage. Thank you.
Up to now, that was not a topic of the discussion. I don't know whether that is foreseeable for the summit or for tomorrow. But of course, we are doing everything we are able to do, what we proved today another time, to support Ukraine with whatever we can achieve and how long as it takes.
So the focus of the discussions I have with Minister Umerov, and I'm sure it's the same for Boris, the focus for our discussions at the UDCG here are, what does Ukraine most need? What is our plan together for 2025? And how quickly can we, as the nations standing with Ukraine, supply what is needed? And what we provide and how quickly we deliver it is more important than a sort of general discussion about levels of spending. But on levels of spending, in the UK, part of stepping up and speeding up our support for Ukraine means that in this year, we will be spending on military aid to Ukraine £4.5 billion. That's a higher level of support than ever before. And we will continue our support next year and the year beyond and the year beyond that for as long as it takes.
Sorry, may I ask a follow-up question? There's been a lot of confusion today on this point. When you talk about GDP, I'm sorry, I'm Lara Jakes, I'm with the New York Times. When you talk about GDP percentages, whether it's 3.5% or 5% or whatever, will the definition of core military capabilities for domestic defense now include aid to Ukraine? I think that's what we're trying to understand, if that's part of the discussion right now. Thank you.
It's not part of the discussion today at all.
Yeah, I'll answer. Our capacity or capability in Ukraine to produce drones is up to 10 million drones, and it costs us $11 billion. We invest up to $5 billion, and there is a gap of $6 billion. So that's what I addressed to UDCG. As for your specific question, on FPV, we are able to produce ourselves, but we have a shortage of finances. On Mavic drones, which is Chinese production, there was reports of, let's say, that it was redirected to Russia rather than to Ukraine. And we have experienced the problems of purchases through different channels, through different countries. We've tried to manage to procure them from all of the UDCG members as well. And we, in addition to it, we started a program to localize these drones. We achieved it in several months, but before, from the time they start redirecting it, we had experienced problems, but now we have Ukrainian-made, let's say, product that we are procuring and closing the gap. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes this press conference.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ministers.
John,